creating content's kind of like the answer to the what do I put on my Facebook or Twitter question. And content is anything like when you post, hey, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, or when we make our exercise of the week videos, or when we take pictures, or when we're posting links to events and different things like that, or when we're even retweeting news stories. So, creating original content. Original content is something a lot of people are kind of like, what do I do, where do I start with creating your own? Which was kind of what we were thinking is like everything that if you read things about social media best practices, it'll say create content. Content's what drives people to your page. Well, then you're kind of like, okay, well, where do I start with that? My suggestion for creating your own content, like pictures, is to like photograph events you're already having. And so like if you have like for your WIC has like breastfeeding support group or something like that, and they're having like some kind of special meeting and you want to take a picture of that and show people what they're doing, then you should do that. If you're having like an event like maybe in your department and you want people to kind of see behind the scenes, you can maybe take a group picture or something and post that. And it's something that's really simple and really easy, and you're not like trying to plan like a huge event or something just to put it on Facebook. Yeah?
Do you have to have consent from the people that are in those photographs at those events, or is it okay to post those on your Facebook page of the events that you're doing? Or do you try to get just their backs, or do you fuzz out their faces, or what do you do with that?
I would be very careful with that, and if you are going to have a public event, I would use people who you've obtained permission to use their photographs already, or just use your staff, or use backs of heads. I just don't think you can be safe enough. People have different opinions about having their photograph published, and we just want to be respectful. So in order to avoid any conflict, I think it would be safest to use that.
We usually ask, we'll say,
Yeah.
is it alright if we post your picture on our Facebook page? You know, and if they say no, then we don't take the picture.
You don't take a picture?
Right.
Okay.
If they say yes, do you still have to sign something now?
That's what I wondered. It's a verbal?
And when we're doing shots, we don't put any of their pictures on. We usually have like the nurse leaning over, so you can see their arm, but you can't see their face or something.
Right.
That's a good way around it.
Yeah. And then another area of original content is video. Like I've showed you a little bit of our exercise of the week video, and we've talked about like, you know, the process for video and what we can do with it. Video, I would say, you aren't necessarily going to be able to do it as easy and as spontaneously as pictures. It's going to take like buying a little bit of equipment and planning. But I would just think of things maybe that you're already doing. If you're like a health educator, maybe teaching a class, could you do what we're doing now and video it if you have the equipment and the staff? Or if you have like some kind of program that you're doing internally, like our Team Health Wellness, which is what Emily does with Exercise of the Week, she'll do those in our staff boot camps during lunch, and that's when where we get those exercises to put on our website or on our social media sites. So for content, one of the best things you can do is work within what you already have in place. That way you're not trying to kind of do too much and end up not doing anything. Blog posts, we're currently in the process of starting our own blog, and we're kind of getting it to the point where we have some good content on it before we really start promoting it. But blog posts are a good way to get yourself found in Google. Like if you want to do a series of videos, you could do a blog post about the idea behind it and then link to the YouTube video. Then maybe if somebody Googles the subject of it, it'll pop up in Google, whereas it wouldn't have if it was just a video. And it's also a way to bring all of your social media posting together, because a blog can have links to your Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and then its own content. And then a lot of like website development tools will let you link your blog to your website, and some of them even like have it to where you can do a blog on your website. So I would just look into that. It's not something that's like, it's not like a social media essential, but a lot of people really like having blogs especially because it allows you to give different voices rather than just the staff. What we're wanting to do with our blog is to kind of get some of the volunteers and some of the people who aren't the ones updating our social media involved on our blog and telling us what their experiences have been in different aspects of what we do. So, Springfield-Greene County Animal Shelter was an example of, earlier this summer we created content. We reposted existing content because, as Katie mentioned before, we do have the City View staff that does professional video, which is a lot better than my little camera. And they had done a video about the animal shelter, like a tour of it, so I reposted that in preparation for the shelter being completely made over by volunteers who had raised over $10,000. And new project-specific content was we created an album on Flickr, which is a free service from Yahoo, and you can go through and it's a link.
Yeah.
Just real quick, we'll look at it. I actually took these pictures on that video camera, and they're all of like dogs from the shelter and the shelter. And underneath that, I was able to post information about how you could volunteer. And so not only was it pictures, but I was also posting like volunteer opportunities. And I posted this to Facebook, and it was one of the things that got the most click-throughs for that month. And I think a lot of it was because they could see the photos of the dogs who live in the shelter and the different things that were going to be improved. And this ended up getting taken from our page and reposted on the city's site, so more people saw it from there too. So this was one of our more effective original content creations. And then another thing that we did for the shelter was a Facebook album of before and after pictures that I had also taken on that video camera, so that's why they're a little bit long. The shelter got a lot of new stuff, and we just highlighted a little bit of it in here. You can see they completely repainted the walls, and they added a new fencing in, and that hose is no longer on the ground, posing a health hazard. So that was just a good way to kind of show people what actually happened, and it was easy for me to do, and it didn't take me very much time. And it was something that was already going on, and all it required us to do was kind of show up and document it. So that's creating original content, and using existing content, that's kind of like the retweet. If it's already there, and you see it's relevant, then you can share it. And we've already talked about that a lot. But when you do use the existing content, you need to make sure that you're giving credit to its original author. So if you get it from another Twitter user, you can say like, great link from their username on whatever, or you can retweet it. If it's on Facebook, then you can either tag someone in a post like you would on your personal account, or you could just mention their name. But you need to make sure that if you didn't write it, that it's just like in school when you have to cite your sources. You have to tell who you got it from, because it's just a good practice, and if I'm posting things, I don't really want other people taking it and taking credit for what I've done. So I also like to give credit to people I take from. Well, I'm reusing their content, and they want me to, because that's what social media is all about, is sharing. And Katie's going to talk about measurement and feedback.